Hello everyone, Mr. O here. Today we will look at the Dominosa puzzle. So I'll give you a couple of tips and tricks on the introduction and hopefully give you enough information to get you on your way. We'll start off by looking at the worksheet here, introduction worksheet. I'll grab myself a pencil and away we go. Here's the idea. You have, there's the rules, very simple. You have to identify the location of all the dominoes. And if you've ever played dominoes before, you know dominoes have one of each pair of numbers. For example, you have a one dot on one side and a two on the other side. There's only one domino that has a one dot on one side and a two dots on the other side. There's only one per set, right? So there's no duplicates. And a one and a two is the same flipping it around as a two and a one. There's only one of those dominoes. A three and a one, that's the only one in the whole thing. The three and the three, there's only one of those. So we need to identify in this puzzle, we need to identify all the different dominoes, right? So there will be one of each pair. If you wanted to list them out, you could. You know that this one goes from 0 to 3. So there will be a 0, 0, a 0, 1, a 0, 2, and a 0, 3. There will be a 1, 1, a 1, 2, and a 1, 3. There will be a 2, 2, and a 2, 3, and there will be a 3, 3. All of these dominoes will be present in this, and there will only be one unique solution. You don't have to guess, and I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to get started. So one obvious way is to go through and just say, well, do I see any 1 1s? And I go on and see a 1 1 here, and I don't see any other 1 1s, so that would be a good way to start. And if you found more than one of these 1 1 pairs, you would then just move on to another. That's an option, right? You could say, well, I have more than one 1 1. I'll give you an example 3 3. You see, I have a 3 3 here and a 3 3 here. Well, we can't identify a 3 3 right now, and we'll just have to look at others. But once you get some information, you know that this 1 1 is the only 1 1 in the whole puzzle. Then look at this 2 now. This 2 is now in a corner, and it can only be going to the other 2 right above it. So, not to mention that is the only 2 2 on this whole puzzle. So once again, it's a unique one. But here we have 0, 0, 0, 3. So there's two different options for this 0. If you go to the 0, if you go to the 3. And that's helpful information, right? So let's go on and see if we can find some other good pairs here. So we have this 3. This is one of your first tips and tricks. Well, I guess our first tips and tricks was to look for unique pairs. But now you look for things like this. Like this 3 can only go to a 2. It's either going to go to 3 to 2 here or 3 to 2 here. Well, that means I cannot make this 3 2. If I made this a 3 2, then this 3 would have nowhere to go because it can't go with this 2 and it can't go with this 2. Remember, there's only one 3 2 pair in the whole puzzle. So what do we do with that information? We don't know if it's here or here, but we know for sure this is not true. We know for sure that 2 cannot go with 3. And if 2 can't go with 3, then 2 has to go with 1. Now here's where it's helpful. I look at a 2 1 and I say, okay, if this is a 2 1 and that is a 2 1 for sure, then this 2 can't go with a 1 and this 2 can't go with a 1 because I've already got my 2 1. So this 2 can't go with a 1 and this 2 can't go with a 1 because I've already got it. So as soon as I identify where my 2 1 is, I can go ahead and say, well, it can't be here, and any other 2 1 in the puzzle. We know that this has to be our 3 3 because this 3 can only go up. So that means this cannot be our 3 3. So I put a line there. Say that can't be our 3 3 now. We know this 2 has to go up. And we know this 2 has to go to the right because, again, it can't go down to the 1. It can't go over to the 3. And all I'm doing here, ladies and gentlemen, is just identifying the dominoes. This 1 has to go with a 0, which means, this is kind of a little bit off, that this 1 can't go with a 0 and this 1 can't go with a 0. So this is our 1 1. We already knew that, by the way. Sorry about that. And this 1 can't go with a 0. So this 3 goes with the 1. This 3 goes with the 0. And this is our 0, 0. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have our solution. So if we went through, we can mark off each one of these. And there's no repeats. And no repeats, and all of them are there. So that's helpful information. Now I'd like to flip over to the back of that same worksheet. Right? So if you're following along at home and you have this introduction worksheet, Introduction to Dominosa, on the back, on the upper left, this is one of my favorite ones because it's got a lot of tips and tricks in it. Right? So here's something for you. Notice here, when you have these pairs, 3 1 and 3 1 next to it, 4 1 and 4 1 next to it, you're going to get some information from this. And there's another pair here we'll see in a second. So we'll walk through this one together. First of all, what would happen if I made this my 4-1? Well, it forces this one to go with a 4. So if I chose this as my 4-1, this would have to be a 4-1 also, which is not allowed. What does that mean? That means this cannot be my 4-1. Not only that, we can put a line here and say we are positive that that is not a 4-1. Okay, now 4-1 could go here, 4-1 could go here, 4-1 could go here. There's a lot of different options for 4-1. But this is not one of them, because if this was 4-1, then this would have to also be 4-1. Same is true here, and we'll come back to this in a second. Same is true here. 3-1, 3-1, right? So if this was my 3-1, it would force this one to be a 3-1, which is not allowed. And not only that, but when I cancel out this 3-1, I look around the board, there are no other 3-1s. So this is the only one left. Now that we've made this not a 3-1, this is the only one left. And so one of the tips and tricks, so the tips and tricks is having the double pairs on the corners. That's a tips and trick to look at that. But also, once you identify something that has been cut off, like this 1-1 has been cut off. So I look around the board, are there other 1-1s? I see a 1-1 here, see a 1-1 here. So I still don't know where my 1-1 is. But this 3-3 has been cut off also. So if I cut off the 3-3, are there any other 3-3s on the board? Are there multiple? Or maybe there's only one left. See a 3-3 here, and if you look around, there are no other 3-3s. So this has to be my 3-3, because there's only one left. This is another situation where we have these double pairs on the corner now, right? So this cannot be my 4-0. And if that can't be my 4-0, I'll put a line. And that means this 0 has to go to 0. It's either here or here. Now, one other thing I'd like to mention is this 4-1. Think about this for a second. If I choose this as my 4-1, I'm running really light because that's not correct. If I choose this as my 4-1, check this out. This 4 would then have to go with a 1. So this can't be my 4-1 because this 4-1 forces this 4 to go with a 1. So that can't be my 4-1. So we have identified successfully our 1-1. And that means this cannot be our 1-1, which means it is, in fact, our 1-2 here. Are there any other 1-2s? Yeah, there's a 1-2 there. That's the only one I see. So this has to be 2-4. This has to be my 3-4. And so this can't be my 3-4. And this can't be my 3-4. You see, once you identify your 3-4, go around and mark off all these lines in between other 3-4s. So this 4 has to go with a 1. This has to go with a 1. So it's either like this or like this. That means this 4 cannot go with a 1. If this were to go with a 1, this one will also have to go with a 1, and you can't have doubles like that. So this 4 goes with a 4, and this is a 0-0. And I'm going to leave you with the, I'm not going to do that whole puzzle. There's only a few left to do. But I'm confident you could finish that one. Let's look online. Let's take it to puzzle-dominosa.com. And if we go over here, I've started a puzzle, puzzle-dominosa.com, and this is size 5x5. And I've even discovered this is good for teaching. I can make this bigger. That's kind of cool. Kind of awesome. All right, so if I'm this is my first time looking at this puzzle, so I don't know any, I got to look around. But basically, I see, wow, look at all these 1-1s. So again, if this were my 1-1, and I could just highlight like so, then that would force this to be a 1-1. So that's not allowed. So I use a right click, or you can command click if you're on the Mac to put a line there. So this 1 has to go with a 1. This 1 here must go with a 1. So if that's got to go with a 1, then these ones cannot pair together. These ones can't pair together. And so I do things of that nature. All right, let's see if we can find some others. So a lot of times, if I see nothing right off the bat, I start with doubles. I say, do I see any 0-0s? I see 0-0 here, 0-0 here, 0-0 here. 1-1's going to definitely be up here. 2-2s. So I got 2-2 here, 2-2 here. That's not helpful. 3-3s. 3-3s are this pair and this pair, which means, this is another one of your tips and tricks, number 3. If the 3-3 has to be either this one or this one, then this cannot be a 3-5. Because if this were a 3-5, there would be no 3-3s on the whole board. So we know this 3 is either going to go up or down. We don't know which way yet, but we know that it definitely does. How about 4-4s? I see 4-4 here, 4-4 here, 5, 5 is here. Oh, we got another situation like that. 5, 5 has to be this one or this one. If that's the case, then we know this 5 cannot connect up or down. It's got to be left to right. So we got our 1, 4, which means this cannot be a 1, 4, which means this is our 1, 1, and this is our 1, 5. That means this must be our 5, 5, because there's no other 5, 5 on the board. All right, so far so good. This must be my 4, 0, which I go around and look for 4 zeros now, and I put a line between all 4 zeros. 5 ones, there's another 5 ones. I put a line between my 5 and my 1. Put a line between the 5 and the 1. So I get a 5, 0 here, which means this cannot be 5, 0. They get a little mixed up here. This cannot be 5, 0. And this cannot be 5, 0. You see, so once you identify your domino, go around and mark all the ones that can no longer be that domino. See, I have my 1, 4, and I can put a line here, and that's the 1, 4. Now we know this 4 has to go with a 5. It's either going to be 4, 5 here or 4, 5 here. So then put a line here between the 4 and the 5. Because if we made this our 4, 5, then this 4 would have nowhere to go. It could go to neither. So then we know this has to be a 5, 3, which means this cannot be a 5, 3. This has to be a 5, 4, and so on. And I don't want to take too much time on this video, but hopefully you're getting the idea on how to work this. I hope this puzzle is fun for you, challenging but fun. And please let me know, as usual, if you have any questions whatsoever.